All right, and good evening, everybody. Let's get into today's market action and trades on August 24th, 2023. Kind of an exhausting day out there. I don't know if you're really paying attention in the market. Maybe this was a little worse than if you had just tuned in at the end. However, it was just a painful down day. NVDA came out, beat earnings, good earnings call, up nicely in after hours, markets up, 20, 30 points in after hours. And then as we got closer and closer and closer to the open, you saw the futures just giving up a little bit, NVIDIA trending down, and then the markets opened and a small little move higher, and then really a sell-off for most of the day. So as we can see here, and let's take a quick little tool here. So we look at the day today and what we see in the markets on today. Nothing here of excitement as we look at this thing. So it was down up a little bit, but it was really down all day, finishing at the lows of the day. So we're down at the lows of the day, finished the day with a nice loss. We lost about 1.4% overall on SPY. And we tried to pop up into this 21 EMA and into this previous support resistance area here and this downtrend line, and totally failed at it. And ever since that, the market was just down and falling more all day. It really didn't have a whole lot of positive movement to it after the initial open. It was down, broke back down through the 50 EMAs. We're just bouncing and consolidating in here and more down than anything. So this has just been a tough 4 weeks in the market as things just continue to sell off. It's unusual that we see MACD, the momentum coming out of the down move. So again, we're not down as far as we were 4 days ago. RSI had come off oversold levels, made a pretty good U-turn today, heading back down. That's the daily. Yeah, we're off of our lows. We moved up a little bit as we thought we would. And then potentially we're ready for the next leg down. So we've got right now a move down, a little bit of an intraday higher or lower high, down, another lower high, and then we're heading down here again today. If we look at the weekly is really the more telling one. This is pretty ugly looking on the weekly. We're still above the 21 EMA, which is not the worst thing. We did bounce off it and some support here yesterday. However, the momentum's just been coming out of the weekly. MACD on this week is finally cracking below on the histogram here. So we got a MACD cross. RSI is heading down. So things do not look great from a weekly standpoint. Daily, pretty much mixed. What you would expect would be a little bit of a pop and then maybe another leg down. On the Qs, pretty much the same thing. It looks pretty ugly on the weekly. And then if you look at the daily, a pretty big red giant candle today as we finished significantly lower on the Qs. We were down over 2% on the NASDAQ today. So that's heading lower, busted back through the 21 and 50s. So we're just bouncing up and down and all around here. But overall, not looking too great on the daily and definitely not looking good on the weekly here on the Qs. And if we turn our attention to the Russell and we take a quick look at what IWM's been doing, it was down as well today. Same type of story where MACD has been rising, so you haven't had as solid of a down move since you've recovered off of these previous lows for a couple days. But the weekly just not good looking, and we are close to a PSAR bearish reversal signal. But I've been talking about potentially all week of putting on a strangle in here, so I still think that's potential. We are now below all of the moving averages, which are all converged in one spot. So not too good looking on IWM. The VIX made a move up today, so it's been moving down for 4 days, and now it moved back up today. Back up to 17, still extraordinarily low. So the VIX is very low, not a ton of volatility eking back into the market. In fact, the IVR on SPX, I think, is like 11 right now. So again, not a ton of volatility. coming into the market. The big bad US dollar continues to rise. So it was down a little bit at the beginning, inched its way higher. So we gapped up, dropped down, gapped back up, and finished back up near the highs of the day. So US dollar at highs of the day, up about 0.5%, but that's putting it back above this trend line. It's definitely holding on to this 200, which it's bounced off of twice now, back above this little bit of a support resistance area here that could be a bit of a support resistance flip. So we're watching that here, but on the weekly, dollar still looks good. It has been on an unrelenting 6-week March higher, almost up 5% now in 6 weeks. It's strong looking as far as the MACD and the RSI goes. If you were buying a stock, you would want to see this moving above the 21, MACD climbing, RSI climbing above 50, about to change a PSR bullish signal. That's a good looking up move. I think the dollar's got more room to go, which is probably going to be some more pain for some of the holdings that are out there. Let's take a quick look at TLT. So TLT today did give back about half of the gains in the middle of yesterday. I know we gapped up, so not half of the total gap up move, but you did give back some on TLT today. Dollar strong, TLT still not in charge here, but I think we're at a good low point here. We'll keep an eye on TLT. It is not ready for prime time from a weekly standpoint, but RSI might be curling up and MACD curling up as well. So on the weekly, those are pretty good looking signs. We got to let this week play out, and maybe into early next week, we'll see if we get any more follow through next week, or do we have an inside day, another down week, or do we start to break to the upside? If we can break above the highs of this week and start running towards this downtrend line, which is also the 21 EMA. So TLT, decent looking, potential area for a pop, but right now I'm just not quite ready, but we're close. Aussie dollar, another pretty good down day, gave back everything that it got yesterday. Still positive on the MACD and RSI. However, weekly still doesn't look too good, and that's what's in control here. And on the British pound, a big down day, breaking below at the end of the day here, this resistance level, not looking good on the daily, definitely not looking good on the weekly. The British pound appears to be in some significant trouble with, I think, more downside to go. So I am not putting on any trades in British pound. 112 strangles nothing. I do not like the way this is moving. And if the dollar continues to crank higher, that's not going to be good. Down almost 1% on the British pound. And then if we look at the euro, pretty similar, just another down day. This has been on a 6-week selling spree. All the way down almost now to this uptrend line. So we are about to get to this weekly uptrend line that we're at. We'll see if things hold on. If we hit that line, we'll probably flip to a bearish PSR signal. We're already below the 21. It does not look good weekly. You've already got the 21 crossing the 50 on the daily. Nothing looks good on 6E. We are in a strangle there. That strangle is down about 50%. We'll be keeping an eye on that. So 6A and 6E strangles, not looking too good. 6 weeks of solid selling with no breaks is not really a good thing for anything that you're trading out there, unless you're short. Let's take a quick look at oil today. What did oil do? Oil got a little bit of a mixed move. It was pretty much just flat on the day. It's showing up a tad here, but really a pretty flat day on oil, ending the day basically almost unchanged on the session. The good thing about that is it did sell off a bit, bounced higher, bounced off the 50, still holding this support and moving higher, while MACD and RSI continue to sell off. The weekly on oil still does not look good, but we are holding that support as we talked about here. And we are in an uptrend and holding above the 21 and the 50 on the week so far. It's tight, but not a disaster on oil yet. Now, we did get some movement on the dollar today. It was up a chunk of the day a little bit, but pretty much finished again unchanged. Almost nothing happened. The daily, not looking terrible here. Getting a little bit of a bounce that could just roll over. We'll see. If we're looking at the weekly chart here, a little bit of a reversal this week. RSI trying to eke up a bit. So do we start to see the dollar start to diverge a bit and become an asset that if the market starts to sell off, that people start to move to for safety? Right now, they're obviously moving into the dollar, not moving anywhere else. Looks like we're just moving into the dollar. There's not really a whole lot of rotation of anything sector-wise. All the sectors were red today. So there's not rotation. It was a broad-based sell-off today. The only area that was even remotely decent was a little bit in gold today. Nat gas got a tiny little bump today, but bonds selling off here, and along with the market and pretty much all the Forex properties. XLK down the worst of all the sectors, a huge crushing day. NVDA had it on a move higher. We thought techs were, and Amazon, Tesla, all following suit. Microsoft, they were all following suit. They were following in NVIDIA's footsteps overnight, weakened into the open, and then when NVIDIA gave it up, everything else just gave up on the day. It could not rally the market, and techs took a pretty good hit, 2.3% down on techs, back down through the 21 and 50 EMAs on the daily, and the weekly still above its 21, still, but the internals, MACD, RSI dropping. We'll see. This thing continues to be in a downtrend. We'll see where we go tomorrow. More of the same from XLY, more of the same from XLC, and energy as well. Not too bad of a day. You would expect as a defensive sector to not have a terrible day, but everything was down. However, what was least down typically really was energy, financials, biotech today. Those were least down, least bad trades, but they still don't look fantastic here. They're still hanging above the 21 and the 50 on the weekly, so which is not bad. The daily, we're making some lower lows. We'll see what happens if MACD and RSI continue to sell. They're going to push energy lower, and then financials still nothing hot here either. Doesn't look too good on the daily and doesn't look too good on the weekly for sure. So definitely some ugly looking financials out there, and really nothing else to really look at. You can look at healthcare a bit, down on the day, utilities down on the day, real estate down on the day in a pretty good downtrend. Industrials down significantly on the day, so not looking too good. So it's just overall, there's no place to hide, no rotation going on. Gold might be the only thing not tanking bad, and then the U.S. dollar, but you really can't play the U.S. dollar too well here. So you've got to keep an eye on potentially, do you buy into interest rates or something? Because I'm not buying the bond yet as this dollar is moving higher. And then we really don't have to cover too many stocks today. There's nothing pretty here. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, all down 2+% today. NVIDIA squeaked out a minor gain of 10 cents or something like that. 47 cents, 10.1%. So NVIDIA squeaked out a little bit of a gain, had a big run up early, fell down, finished basically unchanged on the day. As far as we can move our highs up though, so we did set some new highs on NVIDIA up here around the 502 mark. But nothing extraordinary going on here. I mean, it had a pullback in its run up. It ran up maybe too much. Earnings came out. It's unchanged. It still doesn't look terrible from a chart standpoint. The daily, MACD still rising. RSI still rising above the 21, which is still rising. It cooled off from above the Bollinger Bands in the 3 ATR, so still that doesn't look bad. If we take a look at the weekly, you had a pullback and a PSAR bullish reversal this week, and MACD and RSI also trying to rise this week on NVIDIA. So overall, not a bad looking stock. We talked about Google was hanging in there. It's still hanging in there and looks okay. The weekly looking a little scarier. The daily is still just hanging in there. So some good stuff overall. And then we are in a couple of unique trades that we put on yesterday. We're still in KWeb. We got into that yesterday. So as we look into KWeb, it was up a bit today, up 12 cents. It was up more than that during the day, but we've got a long call in KWeb, which is up a few bucks right here as we look at Chinese stocks. BABA made a little bit of a move. We got out before it closed lower. I'm sorry, we're still in BABA. We're only down 24 bucks on this, but it did close lower on the day, but still like the way MACD and potentially RSI are looking here on the daily, and we're still retain this. We're in this channel on the weekly. So there's where we are on this thing. I don't know why Tasty does that, but okay. All right, so there's BABA, and then we did get out of BIDU today for a very small, you'll see that, a very small win. It gapped up on the day, hit right the center of our triangle of our put butterfly, so no sense holding on to it if it's going to rock higher. So BIDU, a small little winner for us today. And another trade we had just put on was we hedged ourselves a bit on the NVIDIA trade, and we actually bought a put fly on the Qs, and they sailed down into there today. Now, I took this off for a one-day winner. You'll see that Qs look like they could fall some more, but again, it was a butterfly. So I'm going to take my little over 100% on this particular trade. I think it was 120%. I'm going to take my 120% winner and go home. So a slight winning day overall for us. Let's take a look at where we are. All right, so here's where we are on the session. We closed with a delta back up 864.3 delta, too high. Don't like it this high. We're just struggling with delta right now. As the market sells off, it's really tough to lower that delta in here. We did throw a hedge trade on at the end of the day. It did drop our delta a bit, but we do have some long trades on in some leaps that are on right now. We've got an Apple, an end phase, and several SPY leaps that we're running. We've also got a bear trap on SPX. Those are all giving us some pretty decent positive delta, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 of these points. So without those couple trades, delta's in perfect shape. But because we have some of those individual trades on, our delta's elevated. I'm not going to do anything more about it right now. I would like to see it drop. If it continues to raise, we'll continue to add negative delta into the portfolio. If we have to sell something, we will. I would prefer to add than subtract and book losers, but we'll do what we have to do. Theta, nice theta, 896, 0.32. 0.3 seems to be the magic number. When we really look back over quite some period of time here, 0.3 seems to be about where we can get to on it. 0.4 would be a lovely dream. I think if volatility gets back up, a little higher than where it is now, a VIX at 20, low 20s, I think we can get that theta back to 0.4%. But I think in a low vol environment, 0.3% is totally fine where we want to be. I like here at 896. What I don't like is the fact that my delta is 0.3 and my theta is 0.3. Delta should be half of my theta. I have too much positive delta in this account. It is causing some problems from a net lick standpoint. So we'll keep an eye out of where things are. But if we don't get some movement, we may have to take a few things off. We'll see what we can do to clean it up. All right, net lick dropped on the day, 284, 258 is where we are at the end of the day. So we had a beautiful update yesterday, new all-time highs, and then we're off just a tad. So we're just off of our all-time highs. Buying power's at 194, which is 68.5%. Now, again, we talked about this yesterday. We have $27,000 worth of buying power being used for U.S. Treasuries using bill. Because of that, that's 10% or 9.53 of our net lick is being used for bill. So that's 10%. So if I took 10% off of this, we'd be at 58. So we're just over the 50%. I'm totally fine with that because I'm not really worried about bill in my buying power. It's just using buying power, but it's not going to hurt me to have that in here. So I'm totally fine where we are, being right around the 60 to 65 range. We could see could be a little bit lower. And then we did book $130 in realized gains today. It took us over 6,000 for the month. We're up 2.13 in realized gains despite the market's up and downs. We are, let's take a look here. We gave some back, so we dropped back negative. So net lick for the month's down about $2,000, but we've booked $6,000 in profits already, which is totally fine with us. Not really worried about net lick. It doesn't really mean anything. All right, let's take a quick look at the trades we had on today. 4 trades we closed out. So we talked yesterday, I think, about the NVDA trades that we had on. These 2 NVDA trades, which was essentially our Batman butterflies, was looking perfect this morning. I mean, we were set to open right around 500, 505. When this opened, obviously the put butterfly was going to go out at nothingness. So we just shut that thing down, took a little loss of $123. We had a $200 and some winner here, which would have given us a nice small $100 win on the whole trade, which was just something fun to do. However, it reversed and really started selling when the market sold off. NVIDIA sold off together. They went down. I scraped a measly $13 in profit out of it. So we lost $110. Big deal. Don't really care. BIDU, we were able to take $60 out of that trade. Not a huge trade, but because BIDU hit the center of our butterfly, that's my signal to get out. So I'm not going to hang on to it and watch it run through the center or leave. So this is the best we can do. And then on the Qs, we had a put butterfly on, and we absolutely nailed this thing to the penny at the time that we closed this, 363, with 1 day to go in the trade, but we were getting nothing out of this. You would think we would be getting something. I know the maximum we could get is like $5. You would have thought we would be around $2 to $3. We were only getting $1.65. We still made 120% on it. I'm totally fine with 120% trade in here, but $180 a little disappointing. But overall, in the day, beats a stick in the eye. We made another $130, and had a little bit of entertainment to watch with NVIDIA out there. So we got those taken care of. So we're going to book these trades in for the night, and we're going to wrap up here. All right, so markets back into selling mode here. Our delta is getting a little high. We got to get that delta down. 0.2 is my target. We'll be working on that. We added some hedges in today, brought it down a tad. Buying power's not too bad considering where we are in the markets. So we'll keep an eye on it. We just manage the portfolio and we let it fly where we are. All right, you guys have a great rest of your evening, and we will talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.